General advice, warning and disclaimer. Opinions, thoughts, research, recommendations and content presented are general advice only. They do not take into account your specific circumstances. Please consult a financial professional before making any investment decisions. For further information on our disclaimers and general advice, please see our website and our PDS. Hi there and welcome to this week's edition of Bulls vs Bears. Gentlemen, Jonathan, Kai, how are you boys?
Hi viewers, how's it going?
Good.
I'm good, thanks.
Busy
Week?
Busy week indeed. First real week of earnings. Well, there's earnings previous week, but we had some big guns this week.
Yeah, that's
CSL,
right.
CBA, Pro Medicus knocked the lights out as well. So all those drifted off. I think Temple and Webster was one that.
Oh yeah, it shot the lights out today.
So I'd been 17% yesterday on top of.
That's right.
So
Copley had a shocker this morning. It's
Yeah.
down 13% as well. So.
and very rarely do you see lately because of the the big green buying robot, the index funds,
the mindless green robot,
mindless green robot, i.e. the ETFs. The CBA's down when the rest of the market's up.
Oh,
so
okay. Interesting.
Yeah, which is as a devotee of the mining stocks, very happy to see that. Very it's very. I had to check if I was colourblind or not.
That's true. So yeah, it's basically a big week of earnings. But so I was on AusBiz with Nadine and Michael Gables for a technical analysis special.
Yeah.
So use Kai's charting system on there.
Use the adaptive super trend algorithm.
No, this one was the more simple one. So
Yeah.
so the more basic one. And I told the viewers that so I wanted to have the out of the box kind of indicators that we use. So Bollinger Bands, a fairly simple moving average, and a MACD from memory. And I think we use the parabolic SARs, but when you
dots.
the dots. But when you put it up on the screen, you got, I'm sure.
Can't really see it. Yeah.
I'm short side, so I'm like, okay, it kind of looks like it's going higher. But yeah, just in general, all the charts. If it's bottom left, top right, I tend to say buy, and if it's opposite, sell. So obviously the technical indicators kind of help that out and make it visual. But then obviously, it's up to you to interpret it. It's not how you see it, but just in general, I had a few large caps on there. If they're up in the top right hand of the chart, I tend to say buy. As Mark mentioned, those ETF flows still keep going in. Like I thought, with Trump coming in, there could be a slowdown, but no, we haven't seen that. And even though Trump's been in for a few weeks throwing out tariffs here and there, it seems that flow still keeps going in, and these markets keep pushing.
Well, he's full of crap in the end. They've all been delayed. So, until it actually happens, and now he's starting to try and spin it as he solved Ukraine, he's solving Gaza. There's no tariffs in place so
He
far.
always seems to solve the problems that he's created.
Yes,
Genius.
yeah, no, it's a good way to be a problem solver. Right? It's just to create them and then solve them. So, I had the call Thursday. Probably not one of my best efforts. I had a fairly late night the night before, but Telix was the one that stood out. We've sort of, via the investment committee and things, we moved up the buy zones there a little bit. I think we might creep them up even more. It's sort of back into that 26 area, but they got two more approvals this week. So
one in the UK, right?
Yeah, one in the UK, but they've got other pipeline coming on for. I think they've already got kidney, but it's liver and something else. Or anyway, no, sorry, it's already prostate, it's liver and kidney to come.
Yeah,
have the same treatment. So their scope goes out, and they're going to be not just horizontally expanding the business, but vertically as well with warehousing and drug production units and things.
Yeah, exactly. Look, when I saw them, I think it was halfway through last year when they're actually shoring up supply chains and buying, their suppliers and distributors. I'm like, these guys want the whole.
Well, yeah,
thing,
they're not just going to rest on one drug. They want to be the next CSL or Pfizer or
exactly.
at least build up to it. So I've had massive FOMO in that stock. We sold that around $27 and switched to Clarity, which hasn't been the funnest of trades, but we're pretty happy with Clarity long term. And it's relatively small cap, debt free, and their drug will be commercialised in about 2.5-3 years. with the chance now with AI and the FDA approval process actually being shortened because of AI as well. So it's actually more comprehensive, which is what RFK wants. However, it'd be shorter. So because they can process a lot more data, they can obviously do using the alpha flow,
or maybe because of Doge, they're going to take away a lot of the red tape as well. So if
possibly, I don't think they're going to lower the requirements like they did in COVID, which is what they're rallying against. But if you basically on the track, and you can one other thing as well, they're toying with doing digital twins instead of having to find candidates who are in the exact right, which slows down the process. So you've got to be, at a certain stage of your illness, and you've got to be male and this age and blah blah blah. They're starting to utilise digital twins, and they can also identify if it reacts poorly with other drugs without having to do big samples and things like that. So there's that's a lot of the updates or a lot of the advantages in AI for the medical industry are being able to test that based on previous data, data. So that's what's helping speed up the process.
But as I think we had this brief discussion, like one of the things that blew my mind about AI is that they can use large language models to pretty much print any proteins they want. So so if they want to cure a certain type of cancer within the brain, or as an example, they're using AI to do that. So it's just amazing what that's a fairly practical example of AI. This was more like blue sky type of thing. But I think it'll just start making us a lot more productive. Yeah,
so I mean, we're probably caving and buying Tilix really, but for clients who really were reluctant to sell it or kept some of it on, we're pretty quick to get back in, but we'll just scaling up. Their earnings are next week, so
just basically back up the truck and let it run.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've been riding that trade since about $8.80 or something like that, and we've gotten out twice before, or 3 times in total, and every single time we've gotten back in. So we've managed to capture nearly all the move, all bar bits and pieces.
Yeah, I think maybe we just do the CSL thing, like maybe we double the allocation and have half and always something trailing. But either way, that's something we'll obviously try and improve and learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of stocks this week, what have we got here, boys? What caught your eye?
What caught my eye? Chemist Warehouse. So they actually listed this week. So it was a backdoor merger with Sigma Healthcare. So you could have actually bought that a long while, but today was the actual finalization. Oh, sorry. Yes. I think it was Wednesday where they finalized the merger, and the actual franchisees could actually sell into it.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, because it's so large, and our market is so small, it's already kind of jumped into the top 30. It depends on which index you look at. I think, but the final market cap is about $32 billion. So my thinking was that such a large market cap, and I keep talking about passive flows. If it's going to go into the ASX 20, guess what? Those indexes have to rebalance and buy, Sigma Healthcare, Chemist Warehouse. So for me, it's always been
it was 2 to 1 the amount of passive buying that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Versus what the franchisees could sell, and I mean it was up 7% the first day.
Yeah, exactly. So it just showed. I mean, like from what I read, the franchisees had anywhere from $700 million to $1 billion worth to sell. I think they ended up selling maybe $400 million. So maybe they've kept half and let it run. Let half run.
Well, we had that on the call with Ben Clark, and I know you guys were a buy, and I gave it a buy. It was the house view, but personally, and he was the same. No one has got the numbers yet. There has never been a release. There's never been released a combined set of books. So giving a buy recommendation on what you guys were doing on the momentum and capital flows, etc., was fine. But there's a lot of brokers out there and a lot of big broking houses that are giving buy recommendations based on guesstimates of books. So it'll be an interesting earnings season next October.
But mind you, like have a look at what Guzman did. Like, it came in at such a high valuation. So they had seen the books, but it just showed that if you're large enough, the flows have to go in, and it becomes well supported. So I'm not.
It's not a valuation chat; it's a reality chat.
Exactly. So unfortunately, as I think as the saying goes, you can't trade the markets you wish for. You have to trade what's in front of you. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
And if the passive flows are just buying you, you're like, okay, well.
Yeah, I mean,
what can you-
CBA Exhibit A, which
Yeah.
is the one we'll talk about next as well.
Yeah.
But its earnings was
They released earnings on Monday, I think it was.
Monday or Tuesday, I believe. Yeah.
And I think it was actually as a little bit better than expected. It wasn't spectacular, but the EPS was a beat. I think most of their books actually look quite good. You know, so I'm pretty surprised they weren't up a little bit more, given the momentum that it's had.
But I did say last week, I guarantee you, if you buy the market on open, you'll make money. They opened down 2.5%.
Yeah.
That was the low for the day, and it went straight back up.
Yeah.
So they were. I mean, look, the numbers were never going to justify the earnings, the PE ratios they're on. But interestingly, though, he was so positive about how healthy the customers were and how good a state really the economy is in.
Oh, really? Okay.
That if I'm the RBA, I'm going. That's the biggest bank in Australia with the most amount of customers.
Yeah.
That's better than an economic figure as far as I'm concerned. But no, he was saying everyone's in great shape. Whereas you get the guys who are crying poor for a rate cut, it's pretty contradictory, and they're using very anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like they've cherry picked like half a suburb or something, possibly out in the middle of Australia, as opposed to where it's where 90% of people live in the capital cities on the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he said we're in good shape, Australia.
Yeah, but either way, the market's kind of priced in the rate cuts. So
Interesting to see on Tuesday.
So I think that's a gimme. I mean, I'm not a bonds trader, but it looks like the bills have priced that in.
Yeah, the 30-day intraday. What are they in a bank?
30-day bank. Intraday.
Yes, they're 100% priced in. So that also could be a margin thing as well, where the blokes that have been short have got to get out.
Yeah,
they just want to save some margin money. But you never trust the highly leveraged futures contracts as a. I don't think it's correct to call it that's the probability.
Uh-huh.
It's just that's what people can afford to be the probability. I think I'm going to cop a load of crap when they probably do go, but I'm in the 2% camp. I don't think they need to go. Particularly
I'm actually in agreement. Like, I don't think they need to go.
Yeah,
but I think they're going to do it just from a timing perspective with the election.
Because of the election. Yeah,
and then we discussed
that I will concede, but Powell's basically said they've priced out all cuts for nearly the rest of the year. Everyone's moved out to at least December, which is just a great one. That's just so they can still remain in 2025 with the rate cut. Because if you go into 2026, all of a sudden it changes things.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh my god, we just started the year and you're already.
Yeah. So, but they're and inflation started to go back up in the States. CPI was 0.5, expected 0.3. The core was up. PPI was hotter than expected, and then that Trump hasn't even started with tariffs yet. So
that's right. It's all threat of tariffs so far.
Well, I mean, but that's not affecting inflation.
Mm-hmm.
People don't put their price up, because over the threat. But yeah, he's only been in for 2 weeks as well at that stage. So 10 days. So that couldn't have affected that number necessarily. But it was all rents, like food. It's all stuff that you can't live without, and like health insurance and insurance. So
there was no luxury supercars included there. Or
no.
It's actually actual essentials, was it?
Actual essentials, and they didn't have a government subsidising half a power bill, so like we do here in Australia. But yeah, so next week, obviously,
next week
big names.
Yeah, so big one. So BlueScope Ordinate on the Monday. BHP is the big one on the Tuesday.
Well, it's on Monday evening, so it reports in London time.
So they do it like Rio. Okay,
they do it like Rio because they're London Stock Exchange.
Okay, Goodman Group on the Wednesday, West Farmers on Thursday, and QBE and Block on the Friday. So they're the big names for next week. Look, obviously I had to cherry pick. There's probably 10 times as many earnings on those days. This is the busy week for earnings next week.
Yeah.
So we'll be flat out each morning, just trying to decipher and putting our super trend algo systems to work and AI.
And look as well, unless that result from Ordinate on Monday is a good result, just if on the off chance that the investor relations department listens to us up there, don't, after the last debacle, like, release on a busy day where if it might go unnoticed if you miss. Like last time they released an update on the yen carry trade day, which was the worst day in 5 years in the stock market just about, and released bad news. And their timing's been horrendous.
Yeah.
But now releasing on a Monday where there's like literally only one other, no one really releases on a Monday. Like, push it back. Be on a busy day just in case.
That's it. That's
like,
it. And then also take a leaf out of the Commonwealth book. Just mention AI for the sake of AI.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So there'll be like Dante AI coming out.
Well, there's an A and an I in ordinary.
That's it.
So I mean, it's a natural progression to me. But yeah, so NAB obviously will be a quarterly. Fortescue's there as well. Telstra, no one cares. Net Wealth probably will do very well. It's just that's almost like the ETF guys.
Yeah.
Except they charge heaps more. And Block will be, I'm assuming Block will be Thursday morning before the market opens because it'll be a US release, I would imagine. QBE is this Friday. It was on this week's calendar for Friday. That it's that's the trap of if they don't release a date for their earnings, the calendars default to when they did the previous year.
That's correct. Yeah.
So that's why sometimes you'll be annoyed endlessly by going, but the calendar's being wrong, but it's not their fault. The company doesn't update when they're going to release it. It just defaults back to the last cycle. So.
Yeah, and then obviously when they do release it, it's usually it's some obscure news release a month ago.
Yeah,
that no one pays attention to. So yeah,
it's very difficult to keep.
It's a tough thing.
You got to stay agile. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely. So on to US news. So it looks like we've got a couple of just one of the Mag 7 in there. One thing I would like to chat about the US is some of the moves in Costco. So I think we're gonna we'll be.
It's on the radar. It's on the potential for the high conviction. It's on the it's in the battle for promotion.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. So if you look at that on the chart, it's pretty much bottom left, top right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, exactly. One thing about Costco is that when I was reading about the company, it's almost like Berkshire Hathaway, where they have a really, really fanatical fan base. And the great thing is it's actually all customers are big fans of Costco. The employees apparently some of the.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Coles or Woolies tried to charge you a membership? Like they'd be like, "Get out of here."
I just go to the other one.
Yeah. But apparently the employees love it, and then the shareholders love it. So they've got the trifecta there, and like obviously we've been waiting for a dip to try and wreck it. It just hasn't.
It don't dip.
Yeah,
it don't dip. Well, now that speaking of ones on the potential promotion path for our high conviction Meta as well, which is one of Kai's favourites.
So what's their language model, or sorry, what's their fund?
So Olama is their base LLM. But the reason why I think they're actually really good or well prepped for the next cycle is because basically the operating system of these language models. DeepSeek,
it's the foundational base.
It's all loaded through Olama. They have to use it to run. So. Yeah, I think they're in a good position.
As if they needed more customer data.
Oh, exactly.
So are they the foundational model of you're saying?
No, so they have their own model as well. So their model is called Olama as well.
Yeah.
The system in which it runs, all the other open source models have basically uses that to run. Right? So they just have to put a monetization model around it. But as we know, Facebook ads is the king.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and the data's valuable to them. And John Deere, who is on the conviction list, they sort of shot themselves in the foot, to be honest.
How so?
Well, they went okay, but they just gave a bit of a dour outlook when no one else was giving a dour outlook. So on the economy and things like that. So they went down. They missed a little bit, and I think they just saw big drops in, and I would imagine as well these are big machinery orders.
Yeah.
You probably want to wait to see how tariffs go before you order a $1.5 million US tractor and then find out that it's been slapped with a 25% fee. So that could have had something to do with it in terms of potential customer growth. But
so just on the more US news, I actually watched a couple of Jensen Huang podcasts this week as well.
Yep.
So yeah, he's actually quite inspirational. So what he's actually working on now is foundational models. That's why when you said that, I'm like, oh, he's doing foundational models on sort of different aspects of AI. So let's say you need robotics. He's trying to develop a foundational model for robotics.
Yeah,
He has to
so
talk about
a
physics.
bit more specific.
Yeah, so he's talking about how,
because it is too general at the moment.
but he's talking about how AI will move into these other areas, and you have to have these foundational models. So he's building those out now. So,
Yeah.
So very, very interesting.
I just like how he wears his rockstar leather jacket every single interview. You know?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And
even when he's in the tropics. No, he's pretty low. I like I like the fact that Nvidia basically they make GP when they started this business. AI wasn't even a considered a product for them. The Bitcoin miners essentially fell ass backwards on the fact that they were really good for that, and then they pivoted. I think it's really good that he's gone. Well, something fell in his lap. He pivoted and took advantage of it immediately. He didn't earn away from it, and then and has just gone, all in basically. Apparently, his foundational models definitely need Blackwell chips as well, by the way. So, you need way more complex computes. That's what he's every article I read, he's like, oh no, these low cost models.
Yeah. Oh well,
you can ride a bicycle, but wouldn't you like a Ferrari?
Yeah. But the thing was that impressed me is that he kind of foresaw the need for CUDA. And you keep saying that's the benchmark,
that's literally why they could, theoretically AMD they can make almost as good as Nvidia in terms of hardware.
Yeah, but so he thought of CUDA 12 years ago. So I was like, okay, well, this guy actually.
I'm assuming he's adapted. So it was probably purpose built for something else. I don't think that
was. It was all about gaming.
Yeah.
So he was building computers just so that we can have better graphics.
Yeah,
that's what it was for. Okay,
and then they found another very, very profitable purpose,
exactly. So it's like you build something for one purpose, and then someone else goes, hey, I could actually.
That's where I started to wind back my Cisco comparison was that the data center infrastructure and the platform it sits on and things, that from a pure hardware perspective, you can probably like for like them because but that Cisco didn't have that hook where it kept you in the no one had a bloody data center in 2000. So
I guess what it is like they've repurposed it. It's like if you're using Cisco switchgear, like once you've built the pipes, like are you going to use the pipes for something else?
Yeah,
probably not. And that's kind of why the valuation. Whereas Nvidia, they're like, okay, we're doing it for computer games. Then someone goes, hang on, that's good for Bitcoin mining. And then now someone goes, hey, these are great for AI, and that's where they've multiplied their business. And kind of like so I guess where does it go from here? Like it did fall on that DeepSeek pullback. Minor dip.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think it will be affected. They've already had a third of their backlog get cancelled. But I don't think I think probably sideways for a period. And if there's a broader market panic, it probably falls a bit. But that's only because of leverage ETFs and that momentum switch. I think I'm much more confident buying the dip on that thing than I was 12 months ago. But because it really was just absolutely hyperbolic. But I've got a much greater understanding of how much they've kind of locked you in now.
I guess the hard part now is that it's had this massive run to become at one stage the largest company in the world. But where's it go from here?
Even Microsoft came back off.
Yeah, exactly.
During the 01, but that was probably one of the better buys. Really,
so it would need a new repurpose basically.
It would. And things are going to move fast. They're going to move fast.
Exactly.
Commodities.
So I'll run through those. So gold, that's 3 weeks in a row, another record high at 29.40. So we just and I'm talking spot prices here. So only $60 away from that 3,000 level. It's already broken 3,000 on the futures. So silver, consolidate that 32.50 level. That's the key level right now. If it breaks through, I think it runs to I think 34 or 35, which was the more recent.
Maybe more.
Yeah, but yeah, if it does break that, I think it means the whole metal complex is pushing higher. Copper, that's been a rock star, 481 now.
Oh, did copper go up? Did it?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Oh my God! Really, I didn't notice. I've been tagged on some pleasant tweets this week. Yeah.
So the key with copper is that 480 level, 470 was a fairly key resistance level all the way through 24. I think it bumped up there and fell under. There was at one point where it got to 5, but then after that,
I'm not convinced until it goes back above 5.
Mhm.
It's broken my heart too many times.
but either way, it's on the run and looking strong at the moment. Uranium, disappointing. It drifts lower. Same thing with the miners. The crude oil had whippy week. It went all the way up to 73, back down to 70, trading back at 71 now. So I keep saying that 70 is a key level. If it breaks that, it's down to 67. And don't forget, Trump wants to, drill. He actually wants that down to 40. Well, that's what he mentioned. Iron ore.
Do you know that the oil companies have turned around and they've gone, no, we don't.
Yeah, of course he doesn't.
And he can't make them produce.
Yeah, but that was my whole thesis on Wally. Is that okay, so Trump wants lower prices. It just means volume. So you want a company that makes money from
the only way
the
he
actual
can do
volume, not price.
The only way he can do that is if they increase national reserves.
Yeah. Okay, but don't forget the energy. Sorry, the Ministry of Energy that he put in. The Howard Chief. He's ex shale producer.
Yeah.
So he's all about.
But again, when he says 40, he probably means 60.
Yeah.
So everything's always just either add 200% or minus 30%.
Yeah, exactly. Bitcoin's been quiet. It's hovering around that 96, and so it's been around there for at least a week and a half now. So what that means is there's going to be a breakout sooner or later, and it'll probably do 10% in either direction. I don't know which way. My thinking is that because gold keeps pushing higher, it should push higher from here, but that thing's so volatile. And the Dixie back down to 107, which is a fairly recent low for the last few weeks.
And surprising given the bond yields have drifted higher and they're getting rid of rate cut expectations.
Yeah, so I think
that's a week when it should have gone up realistically. So maybe we have formed a top now.
Yeah,
who knows?
But either way, that's a strong US dollar isn't good for US. So Trump actually wants that.
He wants manufacturing.
Absolutely. So he wants that lower. He's going to have to jaw burn it down basically. But that's we'll see if he's able to do that.
Well, yeah. Look, we got Trump watch as well. I'm kind of over. It's just been the whole week.
Let's not do a Trump.
Let's get
rid of that slide.
Well, yeah. Elon's sort of said a few interesting things. The main point I would like to bring up is the Republicans put in a $4.5 trillion of tax cuts, and they want a $4.5 trillion in raising the debt ceiling. They proposed that. That's going to fix the debt, you morons. And even with Elon,
is that like taking out a Visa and paying with the MasterCard almost? Or?
If the MasterCard is actually a higher rate than the Visa. And then even Elon reckons you can cut $1 trillion, so that's 100 days worth of interest. And so they're really not. They're faking like they're addressing the debt, and Elon's talking about it. Trump is not talking about it. He's sleeping in the office, but it's still an absolute best case scenario. They can reduce the interest payments by maybe 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just $500 billion every 100 days. So it's I'm all for people saving tax money and things like that. It needed to be done or whatever, but you can't just be giving out tax cuts.
Exactly.
And just raising the debt ceiling. This is what's got them in trouble in the first place. Doing it again is beyond moronic.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, Elon's gone through USA basically, he's been given the green light to go through the IRS and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the Pentagon, and don't forget
Whoa.
yeah, that's. I mean, like this. As I said, I've got a fairly active Twitter feed, so you're gonna have to fact check
You
that.
just got to sell the crap out of Halliburton, don't you? There'd be contracts. There'd be contracts for fresh air.
Exactly.
Like actual, they'd probably be selling fresh air. Like,
That's what he was saying because Elon was in the White House with Trump. He was like standing on the side. It's like, you lift under the hood and it's like this
some of the stuff they've found is disgraceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So that's only one section with US aid. I said it this last week. It's like if they go after the Pentagon, that US military industrial complex, those guys have tanks and guns, mate. So it'll be interesting.
No, but they maintain tanks. Tanks will never be used in warfare ever again.
Yeah, exactly.
But by the Pentagon's own admission, tanks, but they still maintain the world's biggest tank.
Well,
fleet.
they've got the F-35s.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the cost is literally $2 trillion over the lifetime for that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So Elon saw that as like, why are we maintaining the F-35s when drones are the way to go?
So we build a $5,000 drone, takes down a $100 million.
Even the cartel they're putting C4 on drones.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
so if the cartel could do it, Jesus, like, maybe you don't need a $2 trillion plane. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole point. So that's what caught my eye. It's like, oh my god, they're going to go through the Pentagon, Pentagon's books. That will be interesting.
And Baidu and Apple doing a little team up. Was it Baidu? Was it Alibaba? Sorry, Alibaba and Apple are doing an AI relationship. Alibaba's going to build that supposedly.
Isn't Baba is it Quen or something like
Quen,
that?
yeah.
Quen 2.5. They released that just after DeepSeek.
Yeah, so Apple's, which I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for Alibaba, because Apple are like, it's like an 80-year-old coming on. Like, pick the slowest moving horse in a pack.
Oh, the thing with Apple is like they admit they don't really innovate. They just wait till something's quite mature, quite popular, and then come up with their own version type of thing. So yeah,
Jobs would be rolling in his graves. Oh man,
like rolling. It'd be like a constant. It'd be like a spit. It'd be just round and round and round. Like what? I mean, yeah. But yeah. So there'd be a lot of deals done. I mean. But does that open up Apple to being, the Huawei example where they banned Huawei equipment in the US? I mean, does that? I think Apple's a major risk anyway, with 55% of their declining iPhone sales. China market's going down. They haven't innovated forever, and except for Apple Vision, which was $7,000 for a set of glasses.
Yeah. Thing is though, like they just have a fanatical.
No,
the people that love Apple, man, they'll line up and they'll still.
But if it takes you. I've switched from Apple back to Android and then back. It takes you about 3 days and it's really annoying. And then after a couple of days, you're just fine. But if they turn around and ban it because the data's going to China, well, because it'll be the arms race is going to be in data big time. I mean, surely you just sign with an American mob.
You think so?
But anyway.
Well, Elon's trying to buy OpenAI. Why doesn't Apple just buy?
Did you see that Sam Altman counted? He'll buy Twitter for $9 billion. That was, I got to say, that was very, very nice. So, and he also said he wants $300 billion for OpenAI. But that was by far my favourite meme of the week for sure. We get these two idiots off. And Palantir, it's just going to go the humble brag basically on this one, because trade of the week really, because of earnings season, we've been a little bit busy, and we've been very focused on our internal clients and positions. So so become a member, you'll get more updates. But we're probably a little bit short on time this week. But yeah, Palantir still going up, which I was
the most expensive company in the world on a PE basis.
Yeah, no,
it's still getting more expensive.
Yeah, no, what is it, 690 now or something? Well, no, that was last week, and it was at $100. So,
No, so I updated that, so it's 117 now.
yeah, so the PE is going to be even worse.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pro Medicus as well, I think, is its PE dropped back a bit, but it's still like 170.
Yeah.
And I think they had earnings, didn't they?
Yeah,
And it's been technically a little bit disappointing. But yeah, well, there was fairly. We're not doing the earnings season podcast this time around. It's better off. We might just do a bit of an extended version next week of this podcast, and we'll split it up into two if you want to listen to the earnings part.
Yeah, but just in general, I think, and I'm paraphrasing yours, is like you said that fund management is a popularity contest, and looks like stocks are a popularity contest as well.
Yeah.
Basically, if you've been trending higher and the buyers love you, they just keep buying more. And if you're not popular, if you're not one of the cool kids, you get sold off.
But
Yeah.
maybe one day those losers will turn into.
That's it.
Well, I dare say it'll be more at this point. It'd be more a case of them staying. All the sellers are done, and the unpopular, and then the popular kids will all end up having to turn on a dime and come back to the pack. That was one of the interesting things that someone wrote about. I put a chart up about copper gold ratio, and like the jaws were really wide on the chart. I said, "Oh, the jaws are about to close," and At Ray, who's on Twitter, he just goes, "What if it's gold coming back to copper?" And I just went, I did think about that, but I do need to sleep at night, so I'm choosing not to think about that. So, because the ratio at the moment, it is like it's basically.
Oh, it's catching up a little bit to that. This last couple of weeks, yeah.
But we're talking on this is a 50-year chart.
Oh, okay.
It's they're basically gold's never been more expensive to silver or to copper apparently.
Yeah, and
So, but, I mean, look, do your own research because I've checked a lot of Twitter charts before, and I've gone, that's completely not right. So
Exactly.
it ends up being a silver mines chart from ASX. Or,
don't let facts get in the way of a good story, basically.
well, yeah, that's right. So, but I got caught out once on Ausbiz using someone else's chart, and I went, yeah, I probably should have fact checked it, but I was in a mad rush. I'm like, this is interesting. We'll just use this, and I'm like, but I was on air looking at it, going, oh, that's not right. But I'm still sitting there
You
going,
still had to talk about it.
I still had to talk about it, and my heart just sank. And then I went on Twitter immediately after and put a correction on the chart. But it was just the most horrible feeling, just going, oh dear.
That's so funny. It happens to me as well. It's like as you're speaking it out, you're like, no,
I just want to crack the words and put them back in. It's like it's horrible. So, but look, guys, yeah, obviously Aussie earnings will be really in focus next week. I don't think there's much. Trump will still be irrational and say whatever he needs to. Thankfully, that's starting to be a little bit more white noisy. When they didn't notice that he was saying he was going to take over Gaza, that's when I knew that people are starting to switch off. Nvidia, I don't believe is next week. It might be the week after for earnings.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
that's really the last one. They'd be very thin now, and then we won't have any inflation's out of the way, employment's out of the way. So it'll be
RBA on Tuesday.
RBA on Tuesday here. Yeah. So
and then our unemployment figures on Thursday as well. So yeah, fairly big week for earnings,
and
data.
Aussie, yeah, we'll actually talk about our market for a change.
Exactly.
So yeah, but everyone stay safe out there, and obviously check your holdings and do your portfolio reviews, and make sure you keep up the earnings, because in Australia it doesn't happen again for 6 more months.
That's it.
So
You get two chances a year.
yeah, particularly in one of our favourites, Challenger, literally just moves and then just stays exactly where it is until the next earnings, and it moves. So yeah, you need to be taking advantage of these to rejig your portfolios. But see you next week, guys.